once it goes. Okay, I think we are live and probably should be live shortly on Instagram. Welcome to an episode of Unplugged, a special one, as we are joined by partner staff member and dear friend Shihab from Sinjar, Iraq. And we had hoped to have a representative from one of our partner organizations on the show this time as well, but tech is doing what tech does. So we are excited to be here, and this is a time where we are also marking the 12-year anniversary of the Yazidi genocide. And Partners responded in that moment and has been doing various different projects. And so we're going to get to talk about that today. And if you are joining us live on Instagram or YouTube, please drop in, just let us know where you're from. If you have a question for our work, in particular, this part of the Middle East, feel free. So, and stay tuned for more information to hear about our partner organization, who unfortunately the tech just wasn't working today. So first, maybe we could just say our names and where we're calling in from. So my name is Chris. I am the Director of Strategic Engagement at Partners, and I'm based in California when not traveling for Partners. And let's go to what looks like this way to Kara, my colleague. Could you introduce yourself and where you're coming from?
Yeah, my name is Kara, and I'm based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I feel like Chris and Shihab, this is such a good example of our partners' pivots of working across time zones and all of the technicalities.
And Shihab, could you tell us, yeah, I've already said your name, but maybe introduce yourself and where you are.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Shihab. I'm originally from Sinjar, and currently I live as a displaced person. I live along with my family in one of the informal camps across the Kurdistan region, and mainly in the Hope province. My current role with Partners is community restoration and psychosocial manager in Iraq and Northeast Syria.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Shihab. I'm glad we can work together. Could you tell us how you got connected to Partners? What's the way you started participating in our work?
Honestly, I got connected with Partners sometimes during 2016. Unfortunately, it all happened by coincidence. So I met Partners team through a friend of mine in the Hope region, who was working with another humanitarian organization and was helping Partners at that time. So Partners was supporting people affected by the ISIS invasion and displacement during those days. So from there, we started working together to reach communities affected by the conflict and support as many people as we could. In the first days, we helped many internally displaced people, and mainly from Sinjar, who were affected by the ISIS invasion. Those people were mainly living in unfinished buildings and tents, and mostly were not receiving enough support from other organizations. So Partners started to target those families who were receiving limited support or aid from other factors, humanitarian factors. So gladly we managed to deliver support to many people who lived in unfinished houses or tents in informal, it was informal camps. Like they were residing in informal camps, so that's why they were not receiving enough support from other organizations. So that's the reason we started to target these communities. So And as well, during the liberation of Mosul, uh, it was during 2016. So we took some very difficult and dangerous trips to reach communities, especially children and women affected by the conflict, and provide them with support they needed. As well as we supported many displaced families in Northeast Syria during the crisis that happened in the past. And since then, I've been working with this team, and together we've managed to support many children and families across Iraq and Northeast Syria. We opened doors together to many children to have access to education, safe places. We provide opportunities for many families and build resilience and hope for many people in these regions. And gladly, we are still continuing on this journey and supporting more people in these regions.
Thank you for sharing that, Shihab. I'm struck listening to what you're saying by the reminder of you have been with Partners since the very beginning of our time in the Middle East and have seen the change and the expansion and the different programs you've been able to do. And it's really incredible to hear that history. I feel like you have a million stories about all of the things that have happened. What right now in your day-to-day work is giving you hope?
For me, like hope is something. It's like about life. It's continuing with us, so we never give up from hope. From me, hope comes from the people I meet and support through our work every day. So when I see like children having a safe place to learn, play, and feel supported, and seeing families and vulnerable women and communities receiving support, this overall like giving me hope, and it motivates me to continue on this journey.
Yeah, thank you, Shihab. There's so much devastation in the world, so seeing glimmers of people finding healing and freedom and a future is so important. And so thanks for being a part of that and bringing hope into the world. If you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, feel free to drop in, let us know you're watching. If you have any questions, we're here with partner staff member Shihab, calling from the Middle East, and just talking about our work. You mentioned, Shihab, the situation with ISIS and basically the devastation of the region. A lot of people know kind of the big players, that ISIS was there, and that, but I don't think people fully know how different minority groups were impacted, specifically the Yazidi. For those who don't know, can you share how Sinjar was impacted in that time and is still impacted by the conflict?
So as it's known for some people, and probably it's new for some new people who haven't heard about what happened and about the history of what happened by the ISIS invasion. So mainly during 2014, that was the last genocide that happened against the Yazidi minority group in Iraq. So its community experienced one of the worst humanitarian crises in the region. Following the conflict of like the consequences of this tragedy, like 100,000 of people became displaced, and still then, like they've been living in displaced camp across the Kurdistan region of Iraq. So 12 years have passed, and yet over 200,000 people live in IDP camps. And access to services is to daily services in the camps and in Sinjar are very limited for for most of them. So the communities in Sinjar, like today, they have limited access to basic services, including like water, sufficient education, healthcare, and other public services that's needed for daily lives. And as well, that people who are living in displaced camps, as well, they are suffering from fire and limited access to education, healthcare. So, like, according to the United Nations and other humanitarian organizations, ISIS committed like act of genocides against Yazidi community in Sinjar, where they killed over 5,000 people, and over 5,000 people were abducted, and mostly were women and children, and families torn apart. And still, there are over 5,000 women and children still missing until today. Nobody knows about their fate. So for these reasons and for these challenges, the communities in Sinjar and mainly the Yazidi community is still suffering over the years from this tragedy that happened against them. And they were mostly innocent people, like civilians. They never hurt anyone. So, yeah, this is what happened against them. And still they are suffering, and they are reaching a hand and requesting support from humanitarian factors and for peacemakers to bring peace and stability into the region.
Thanks, Shihab. And for those who don't know, could you tell us a little bit more about the Yazidi? And maybe a little bit of the history and the culture?
Yazidi community or Yazidi religion is one of the oldest religion in between the two rivers or in Mesopotamia region. Their history back to over 5,000 years old. So throughout the history, they experienced like too many genocides. And these all because of misunderstanding and like misinterpreting about their fate. So what we really see, and we look at ourselves like today, we are also human beings like any other human beings who live on this planet, and they just want to live in peace and prosperity and having a better future for their children, like any a normal human being living on this planet. We are also part of this planet, and God created us all, and we believe in this God who created all the human beings and all creatures, not only human being. So, like, I don't know about the past. I can't remember like 6,000 years old or like what happened like past 1,000 years. But I remember when I was a child, and so far we always hope for a better future for ourselves and as well for our neighbors. We always like hope a better place for human being. We pray for a better life for everyone than ourselves. Like this is what we hope for the world to give to us, and to people to understand us, that we are also human like them, and we deserve a better life like what we've experienced so far. And we don't want such thing to be repeated again and again to our children. We don't know what's gonna happen. We are afraid of the future, like what's gonna happen next. And we haven't done anything wrong. I don't know what shall we do?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your heart with us, Shihab. It is a heavy grief to face oppression when, what you said, we are all humans and we all deserve dignity and care. And I know for those of us who are blessed enough in the Partners community to be in fellowship and friendship with the Yazidi community, we encounter such deep love. I think you are such an example of that, as someone who, in your free time, you start more humanitarian projects that just because you care and because you deeply love the people around you. And I think our partners in Sinjar, who we so hoped could make it on this call, seeing how they are young Yazidi men and women who are tirelessly pouring out so much time and effort against a lot of difficult circumstances to reach more kids impacted, to create more safe places. And I think even just you were sharing with us that one of your family members was hosting our women's livelihood training in their home and giving us a free place to hold that training. And I think the Yazidi community has a beautiful legacy of love that I think we've all been touched by at Partners. I'm curious.
Thank you.
I'm curious, as we look at Sinjar, primarily, you're starting a school rebuild. We're doing women's livelihood. We're supporting the incredible work of our partners in their trauma care program. For children living in Sinjar, what does education look like? What do you see as their greatest needs in this moment?
Regarding the education, as I already mentioned, in education sector and healthcare, there are limited programs or trauma care program in the region. For example, children have limited access to such kind of programs in the region. So I remember since Partners cooperated with this local NGO, HOPD, Hope Organization for Peace and Development. So first, when Partners started to collaborate with this local organization, so they hoped on their goal to target these children who are affected by the genocide. And so that still the ongoing challenges in their homeland, and for the returnees, for example, in Sinjar, almost 200,000 people have returned to their homes, but with access to proper education and healthcare, and as well kind of safe places. So still these kind of things impacting lives, and mainly children. So for example, all the kind of the services in the region affecting lives, limited access to basic services, economically, these kind of things, it's all overall impacting children's lives. Mm-hmm. So that's why having a child-friendly space or trauma care program still needed in this region. for children and as well through this program, they can have access to safe places and kind of remedial program, and they can enjoy their time together, and where they can interact with each other. So these such kind of programs help children to recover from the trauma their communities have been going through, and most of the children, like most of them, they born in IDP camps in Kurdistan region, where they also had limited access to such kind of things, and they were challenging in their daily lives in these tents, living in tents as well. It was very difficult for many of them, and as well the stories, the tragic stories that they heard from the survivors. Uh, these stories as well impacted like many lives. So having these kind of programs is very important in the region to support children, and as well to help them to recover and build resilience for them and for their communities.
Thank you. It makes me think we're actually just talking about a young boy this morning. I think his name was Farzan, who's attending the trauma care program, and he was 12 years old and is in first grade because of all the things that you've just shared, and has been able to be in the trauma care program and having tutoring as a part of that. And so thank you for sharing that, because it is such an important program to fill this gap.
Thank you too. This is what they said, like they always that like our local partner, they are always grateful for your support and for donor support and for making this possible. And they always say, without them, we cannot continue, and we couldn't like implement this project in the region. And as well, something amazing about this program. So it's kind of like a mobile program. They always would like to target all like children to be fair with everyone in the region. So they move from one place to another, for example, from one neighborhood to another. And so far, since they started in, I think during 2020 when they started. So they started in one of the complex in Sinjar, first in Sinune, and after like few years, and then they moved to another villages, and to target this community, because these communities didn't have access to safe places, like and I remember, because this is where I grew up, like Duguri village, where they are targeting like trauma care program. So imagine like since my childhood and until Partners start, there was no programs like that, like implemented in the region. So that was the first opportunity provided for the kids in the region. So the community, like overall, they are very glad about this program, and due to the like family visiting, like like every week, like on weekly basis, or local partner like visiting like children's families to check like students or children's progresses, and if they have any like feedback, or to consider their feedbacks, and overall the impact is impressive, and all the feedbacks are positively. They're like talking about their children's behavior, they like, and as well their educational level as well has like improved for most of them. So these overall, these kind of like positive comments that we hear like on daily basis, it makes us feel that such kind of programs are very important for children and for the next generations. So other, like say, each children has like friends, like each, like these children can impact other children. So the words, like positive words, distribute among other children. So this is like a long-term program that like many children can benefit from it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and thank you for being a part of that and being a part of the broader Partners Relief and Development community. One of our lines that we often use is that children shouldn't suffer because the adults are fighting. And everywhere we work, where there's conflict, like where there's been in your home, people always ask for help for their kids because they're the future. If there's any chance of things changing long-term and bringing healing, it's with the kids. It starts with the next generation. So thank you for the many ways you express that. You bring hope to the world. Thank you for your friendship and your labor, your love. And to our friends at HOPD, I'm sorry we couldn't have you on the call this time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to share about your work and our partnership more. Anything else you want to add, Kara?
No, just, yeah, really grateful for you, Shihab, and all that you do.
I as well, I appreciate your support, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to give you an update about these projects.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep. Hopefully we'll hear from you again soon. And if you are watching now or later, you have any questions about our work in conflict zones, please reach out. We do this as a community. We can't do it alone. So be well, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thanks, Shihab.
Bye.